State Department warns of imminent terror attack in Moscow, warns America to avoid crowds from March 8th. I mean, that's wild.
Well, I mean, look, there's one thing that I want to say about this. Like, the United States has had and clearly still does have the most advanced and the most comprehensive surveillance apparatus in human history. So just because they got wind of something doesn't mean that they were planning something or they were involved in funding.
No, of course.
So
no, but there have been terror attacks, not to this scale in Moscow. There have been the drone strikes. So for the U.S. to warn,
well, and Daria Dugina. So,
exactly.
Dugin's daughter was car bombed in an assassination that, you know, it's questionable. So Alexander Dugin, for people who don't know, is like this high profile writer, political theorist, etc., within Russia and outside, and people have called him, like, and it's, you know, debatable whether this is true, but they've called him Putin's brain, and he's very ideological and has called for a mass, you know, revamping and reordering of all the Russian-speaking peoples into one country. And they said that, you know, this is kind of similar to where Putin gets some of these ideas that he espoused on Tucker. And anyway, they blew up his car, but his daughter happened to be driving it, and so people aren't sure if they were targeting him or targeting her. Obviously, a very high level attack. It was carried out with precision in Moscow, more than likely by Ukrainian intelligence. Certainly, I would say at this point, with U.S. intelligence backing, the same way as Nord Stream 2. And the idea that, look, we just had the New York Times article at the beginning of March that predicated all of this, which is before I went on InfoWars and made my prediction, before the State Department came out. And Phil specifically said concerts, specifically used the word concerts within 48 hours.
The warning did?
The warning did, specifically the word concerts, and said extremists are targeting public gatherings, including concerts. Wow. So they specifically used the word concerts. And we had that New York Times article that said the CIA has spent a decade building a dozen bases across the borderlands of Ukraine and Russia, which is funny because the word Ukraine means borderland itself. And specifically that they were training up this guy, Kirilo Budanov, who has just been appointed the head of Ukraine's intelligence services. And at the time they were talking about maybe positioning him as the head of all of Ukraine's intelligence services. This is the CIA's man in Kiev. And so that all happens. Victoria Nuland all of a sudden just suddenly like disappears from the scene. And I said, look, it's very clear what's going on. They're going to move into the insurgency phase of this. They understand that they're going to be losing at least the 4 oblasts that they've already lost, probably, or at this point, well, going back at this point, definitely 4 more. And given what we've seen and this level of atrocity now, if Putin believes that Ukraine had even a whiff of involvement of this, I mean, I want to be anywhere near Zelensky right now.
But also
is right in the bunker.
Does it even matter if they do or do not? Russia, Vladimir Putin must operate under the assumption it was Ukraine. There's no other assumption.
I'll say everyone in Russia, the perception-wise, is going to blame this on Ukraine and the United States, and so is everyone in China, and so is everyone in the global South, and so is pretty much anyone who's looking at this thing. Nobody's going to say this was ISIS.
As it comes to war, I often say it doesn't matter what's true. Clearly, the truth matters to a great degree for history and policy, but in terms of what escalates conflict, I mean, it could be the plumb truth that a bunch of ISIS radicals did this, but it doesn't matter because you have an entire nation that's going to be who's our enemy, who stands to gain, why would we be attacked, and we're the enemy right now.